Start recording.
So you started recording.
It started recording.
Do you need to clap your hands still?
No.
I can clap my hands.
Clap your hands.
Clap your hands.
Right, okay. Welcome to the UCC Power Rankings for season 215 of UCC.
250.
Yeah, probably something like that, isn't it? It's been going since the dawn of time, so...
True.
Yeah, with us we have co-owner Jake.
Hi, it's me.
And king of the free world, of course. And then, by that, of course, I mean Sweden. And then we also have the waiver wire man, Eric.
Hi, it's me.
So yeah, this is going to be a comprehensive guide to power rankings. And we're going to start off by tearing apart everyone's team, rating their team, and then making sure that their team is rated appropriately. You can put total there, by the way.
Okay.
Wicked, lovely. So we're going to start with Ben. Good luck, Ben. Jake, why do you hate his team?
Why do I hate his team?
Yeah.
Because it's got a mill tank on it.
I knew you were going to say that. Jake hates his little titties.
I hate them titties. But I do like the fact he's gone for Bulu, because I know Ben doesn't. What's he got to rank into Bulu? I'm trying to think now. Grass type moves against this team. Empoleon, I like Empoleon.
Do you think he's got good value for money out of these picks?
I don't know how much money they are.
Oh, brilliant. I'm glad we made you the value coordinator. Thank you so much.
You asked me what do you think he spent on this team? You've got to be a price budget.
He got 1,000 budget,
right?
And he spent 970, including on getting those items.
Okay, I see. So he's got money to spare.
A little bit of money to spare, which of course does get saved on petty cash each week. So.
Leftovers mill tank is a good buy.
Especially when it's coupled with the
terrain extender Tapu Bulu. That thing's never going to fucking die. And safety goggles Wheezing.
That was
interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't rate that. I think that was bad spending money.
Because goggles it stops weather and spores. And how often is he going to come up against either of those?
I have to say, I think it was a
unless he's playing
sort
of Spore Mon week 1.
Yeah, but you can easily just buy that in petty cash because he's got it spare.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, so bad value for money. What rating do you give him out of 20?
Out of 20, I like most of the Mons. Camerupt is underappreciated.
Camerupt is fantastic. No bad words to say about Camerupt.
I've seen Dean cause havoc with a Camerupt before. I'm sure Ben can do the same thing. I would give Ben a solid 15, I'd say.
15? Type it in then.
It would be higher, but he's got the goggles.
He does have the goggles. Right, Eric, creativity. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to go more on a mon-to-mon basis and see how many mons they picked up, which tingles my willy in the waiver wire way.
What mons here activate the Eric tingle?
So, the mon that really tingles my ballsack is Camerupt. Camerupt is, of course, a very based mon. Also, I do appreciate someone actually picking up Hooper Unbound, because I feel like it's a mon that doesn't get much love, but it's very strong. But then again, my man drafted Empoleon, Tapu Bulu, and Miltank, and I can't rate that, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to give it a solid 8 out of 20.
I just wanted to give you a little bit of context on that Hooper Unbound pick. It was his last pick of the draft, and there's two options for picking up Hooper Unbound or Thievel.
Well,
okay, so I'm going to actually lower it to 7 now that I heard Thievel was on the board as well. But yeah, but Miltank and Empoleon, they're very strong, but it's something we've seen for the last 9 years or something in draft. Heracross is pretty based though. I do appreciate the Heracross action, and regular Tornado is also probably kind of fire. I'm going to raise it to 9. I'm going to give it a 9 for creativity.
That would have been a 10 if he didn't draft Hooper Unbound and actually draft Thievel.
Yeah.
Even that mustache.
Anyway, so in terms of viability, I really actually like the composition of Pokemon. I think the terrain extender and the goggles are a waste of money. But in terms of its general viability, I think it's got a lot of viability there. He's got a good offense. He's got some decent defense. I'm going to give it a 14. Good stuff. Let's move on to Rob. Eric, start us off.
Roberto.
Yes. Mr. Robert, first of all, I have to give him an instant +5 for logo design. Fantastic logo, of course.
An amazing logo.
But then again, I have to give him a -5 for drafting Rotom Wash. But I must say, Rob actually drafted some very fire Pokemon. I am a big fan of Noivern. I'm a big fan of Hitmonchan and a regular Aggron. I feel like those are going to be very fun to see Rob draft with. And of course, the all-out attacking Darmanitan. Very excited for Rob's team.
I also like the idea of the Aggron because it can, throughout the season, you might be able to get the Aggronite and have a really cheap Mega Aggron.
Yeah, I feel like Rob drafted very well when it came to his late round picks. I do appreciate a Hatterini as well. Not a mon I see who drafted quite a bit, but I feel like when it comes off the bench, it's very effective. So I'm going to give Rob a nice 13 in creativity.
Pretty creative. I like it. I mean, that is what you'd expect from Rob. He is known as the lunatic for a reason.
He is a lunatic.
Yeah.
In terms of viability, I reckon, he's got a pretty good team. I like the fact he has Hatterene to offer some Trick Room support. He has strong priority in Rillaboom, and he has speed boost in Scolipede. So, he's got a lot of speed control. He's got lots of fatness in Umbreon. I never want to see Rob using an Umbreon, to be honest. I think it's going to be disgusting. But I have to say, I think he's got a lot of value out of his picks as well. So in terms of viability, I'm going to give that a 15.
15. Right, value-wise, Rob has definitely gone Pokemon heavy, or item heavy.
Very heavy.
He's only got Miracle Seed or Rillaboom, which grassy terrain boosted grassy glides are going to hit like a truck for that. Also notice the Sandaconda has the sandiness. Aggron's going to be quite bulkier because it gets the boost, doesn't it?
Yeah, it'll get a Spadef boost in the sand, but I don't know if I will bother with that, to be honest.
Well, you never know.
It's there, it's there.
You never know.
I think in terms of the Pokemon he's picked, he's gone pretty good, actually. He's not spent loads of money on stuff, but he's got quite a well-balanced team, so I think he's actually pretty good on the whole.
Band pass speed boost is banned, correct?
It is, yeah.
It is, yes. It would have been very high value if that was allowed, but obviously not. The bulk of Umbreon and Aggron, and just even bulky Rotom Wash, is very bulky, his team, barring Noivern, pretty much, and Darmanitan.
Noivern actually has a surprising amount of bulk to it, and Darmanitan. So don't underestimate it.
So it's a very Rob team. He's got a very plethora of different type mons. I'm going to give him a solid. I give Ben a 15. We'll give Rob slightly less, 14.
Cool. Cool. Eric, do you want to kick us off with Isaac?
All right. So Ezok, I had some insights to when he was drafting. Obviously, he had a bit of an introduction period at university, so he didn't have a lot of time to communicate his feelings towards me or in the server because I heard he joined quite a bit. Now, I do rate the fact that my man drafted Crobat and instantly slapped a band on it.
Yeah,
feels very Isaac 2014. But then again, I know that Isaac went into the draft with the mentality of, if my mons can die, they can get injured, so I'm going to draft the fattest shits available, which I don't rate at all. The Glalie or the possible Mega Glalie, very fire. I do rate that, and do like the fact that Isaac also picked up Arcanine, but honestly, I'm going to give him a 7 for creativity because it kind of gets carried by Crobat and Arcanine for me.
I think he's got very one-dimensional mons as well. There's not a lot of versatility to him. Like, you're not going to expect Vaporeon to do an awful lot of different things, are you, realistically?
Or
Florges. Or Metagross.
If he's got banned Crobat, it's probably going to be
banded.
So there's not much creativity with that at all.
What do you reckon his value's like?
Well, he's the same with Rob.
He's still got 40 cash left over.
But he's got 40 cash left over. So
which goes a long way in terms of petty cash because that's instant Megastone.
Instant Megastone for Mega Glalie. Now, I know Mega Glalie is a monster. It really is. The Florges Vaporeon Tangela defensive core is fucking ridiculous. But it's Isaac, so
I don't really rate it. I think Florges is pretty meta at the moment. I don't think it's that good.
Well, but I've not played it since Gen 7, so
yeah. I think Florges is kind of overrated at the moment. I think Tangela as well is a very low tier defensive core.
It's a low tier budget core,
but it is a very good budget.
It's a very good budget core. Not gonna lie, Domfan can do its job when it wants to. Like Latias, especially if you make it fast and stew. I would give value. It's got I think I'm going to give him slightly less than Robert. 13.
Well, I'm going to go straight in with a 10 for viability.
10?
Yeah. I think he's done. I like a lot of the Mons individually, but I think as a cohesive unit, I think their is going to be a bit of a challenge at times. I think just lack of versatility is going to be make his team quite predictable, particularly in the early stages before it gets items.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's move on to Simon.
Mr. Simon.
Kick us off, Jake.
He has gone very heavy on the items. Mr. Simon has. I'm very intrigued by double eject pack.
I love
Not gonna lie.
I love that. I have to say on the, I think Deoxys,
Just speed makes sense.
I think Psycho Boost. I can't remember if it's legal or not, to be honest with you. Do you know, Eric?
No clue. I think it's legal. I think usually you ban the stat boosting and not the move.
It's the cut moves are banned. I don't know if it's cut move or not.
Oh. No, I don't think so. I
really
think
like
so.
that. I really like the eject pack on Deoxys and gives it a really nice pivot.
Pivot for it, yeah. Lucario.
And again, the close combat on Lucario.
Close combat.
Again, really nice for pivoting because he has a lot of really good offense.
He's got Rotom that can pivot as well. He's got Glitterpod. Glitterpod doesn't get U-turn, does it?
No.
He gets Moting Exit though.
Yeah, he gets Moting Exit.
He's got lots of switching potential on this team. I like the Rotom because you never see Rotom that often, like baby Rotom, normal Rotom, all that stuff. Like my Dust Life Orb, can hit like a truck. Colberberry Bronzong means it's not very weak to anything. Obviously, it's probably going to levitate or
weak to Ghost.
Weak to Ghost, that's about it. You can play around to do it with fire resist or ground immunity. So, I would say one of the for value. Probably one of the strongest so far.
I think this is the best value so far.
Value so far, so I'm going to give him a cheeky 17.
In terms of viability, I think this is probably one of my favourite drafts. I really love a lot of the Mons. I think Primarina is very, very good. I think it's going to have excellent work this season. I think it's going to get a lot of kills, and I think it's going to actually spiral out of control from that. It's got setup options, it's got pivoting, offensive, defensive, you name it. It's really, really good. And Lidusk and Deoxys, I think, would be really good options as well. In terms of viability, I'm going to give it a 15.
15.
Eric?
Yep. I'd say this is my favourite team so far when it comes to creativity. There's a lot of ones that makes me tingle. I'd say main ones are Lycanroc Dusk, Lucario, Deoxys Speed, and Golisopod. I feel like those ones doesn't get used quite. It doesn't get used quite to the level that they should be. And I love the fact that you just combine them all into some sort of mesh into one team. But it doesn't feel weak in a way. So I'm very excited to see a lot of these ones used together because I feel like they have some pretty interesting synergy together. So I'm going to give this a 18 for creativity.
18? Wow.
Yeah.
Moving on to Smortney, the king of PGF, now Dina's retired. In terms of viability,
for the 19th time.
In terms of viability, it's got a really interesting team. Starting off with the Galarian Slowking is a really obviously great start to a draft, but finishing it off with things like Bolton, I think Alamomola's a rubbish pick to be honest. I think it's a terrible mon. And Sliggoo was the last mon, so again I see it kind of pointless. I wouldn't have bothered picking it to be honest. I think he does have some great mons. I think Sizzle, Crocodile, Blacephalon, Virizion, Slowking, Sylveon, they're the same six that are going to kind of come every game. I think in terms of viability, I'm actually going to give it an 8.
Right. I feel like creative-wise, it's pretty mid. I think the team is kind of reliant on Slowking, Caesar, and Crook, as you mentioned before, and Blacephalon probably too. Which means that those four, as you said, will come every week. There's not going to be a lot of creative mesh between the lower tier picks. At least not the way that I see it. Could surprise me, of course.
To get injured and then he's going to really struggle.
Yeah, so I'm going to give this a 5 in creativity.
Oof. Now for value-wise, Smorty's done the thing where he's gone top heavy, low heavy with his Pokemon because Sliggoo is not going to be very expensive, Bolton not going to be very expensive. Alomomola is usually quite.
It's fairly reasonable.
Fairly reasonable priced. I know back in the day,
It's expensive for what it is.
Aloma Mola, because Aloma Mola, obviously it gets regenerated, it's bulky, but it doesn't really do much else. It doesn't get, like Toxapex gets like toxic spikes and shit. Volcarona has wish support. Aloma Mola doesn't get wish, does it?
Yeah.
It does.
It's a wish passer, yeah.
It's a wish passer.
regen.
That's about all it can do.
Yeah, pretty much. It's set up fodder as well.
It's set up fodder as well.
If you got flick turn, I think it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, Sylveon I like. Scizor, again, can't go wrong with it. But, like you said, he's probably going to bring the same 4 mons every week. If one of them gets injured, he's kind of screwed himself. Especially with no items and stuff to, like, back that up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give him...
Does have a little bit of budget to spare, but, you know, it's not a lot
It's
to
not a
work
lot to play around with, so I'm going to give him a 9.
Big Tony coming back for UCC after like 3 millennia out. He's probably not a baby anymore. He might have grown up. I don't think he'll have grown, but he's older. He's definitely older.
Yes.
Tony has gone for the Tony draft of Choice Band, Galarian Zapdos, and then Fat. I love the Dragouge pick.
Love a Dragouge.
That was my fault. He told me to pick something for him, and I picked Dragouge. T-Spike's on that team, you know. We love to see it. He's got Sticky Webs, which I think are pretty much irrelevant apart from Galarian Zapdos. Other than that, I think he's got a kind of interesting team. It's kind of funky. It's very Tony, but I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9. He's got it.
I feel like Tony's team is actually really good. Just based on Webs, T-Spikes, and the Defiant Zapdos.
True. I mean,
because there's so much hazards and so much hazards and Defiant Zapdos. But I mean, creative-wise, I feel like Tony kind of nailed it. In many ways, it looks like Tony drafted what he left off with when he stopped playing in Gen 7 and just slapped a Zapdos on it. There's not a lot of like creative balance for his sake, but I feel like he drafted a lot of mons that people have fallen out of favor of.
I think I agree, outside of the swap.
Yeah. So a lot of like Galvantula, Dragalge, even Klefki to some extent, very very popular in Gen 7, but just fallen out of favor generic. So it's gonna be interesting to see him bring him back.
Yeah, I have to say I think I agree with you about the hazard stacking part. But I also want to add on, because you have to bite heavy duty boots in this, it kind of compounds the issue. So people are going to be running Rapid Spin, they're going to be running Defog more. They're defogging on a Choice Band Zapdos, you know, nothing's coming in on that.
Nah.
Give him a 13.
Ooh, 13. Now,
I just before you come in on the value topic, I think he's got a lot of mons again which have gone down in value recently.
They have.
I think from that, his team is actually probably one of the most balanced yet.
I do agree, because back when I was playing Days, I really loved... Licky Licky is so underrated for me. It really is a good budget, normal type, bulky pivot. Not a pivot, like wish support, quite bulky. Pair that with Tangrowth. It's a good core for that. Obviously, Klefki can be its regular nuisanceness. Nuisanceness, that's the word. Dragalge, like you said, very usually low tier, very good mod. Entei, again, Whimsicott, I like this team. I do. It's the cheapest team.
Rating go.
Best rating so far, 18.
18? Nice.
He's got loads of power and he's got loads of money left to spend as well. So
he does have some money left as well, which does a lot of help.
Does a lot of help.
Moving to Berry, one of the I think it's the second person we're looking at who took part in the test server. He's filled out his entire roster, which is the only team in the competition to do that straight off the bat. In terms of creativity, I see we've already got a maxed out creativity from Eric there.
I just thought, I said, what? Okay. 20.
Go on, Eric.
Go for it.
Barry has done a fantastic job when it comes to creativity. He has filled out the entire roster with a bunch of fire picks as well.
Right,
I see a Lunatone, I see a Lunatone, I see a Morgrem, which he spent even more points on actually making viable. I see a Gyarados, I see a Honchkrow, I see a Pincharge, an easy 20. Move on to the next person.
Man spent 40 points on a Morgrem.
This man.
Yeah, he does have a pretty fire team, to be fair. In terms of its viability, that's an entirely different story. I mean, he's got some awesome picks in Conkeldurr, Aegis. I love Conkeldurr. I think he's incredibly underrated.
He is.
And with double setup in Gyarados, Volcarona, I think he's got a lot of threats as well. Dual screens from Morgrim, it's a thing. Yeah,
it's a thing.
It's a thing. And Regieleki in Electric Terrain. I mean, if they don't have a ground type, and even if they do have a ground type,
Regieleki's got an air balloon, so it won't be affected by electric terrain.
That's so true. That's so true. And you know what? Its viability has just gone down from that. He was looking at a solid 15 or 16, but he's now going to be a 13.
13 for that. Now, value-wise, he's got maximum roster. The problem with that is, I know Barry will use every single one of these mons this season.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the guy who's going to say, you know what, I'm going to draft Legendtoad and not bring it.
Yeah.
He's going to bring it. He's going to bring Pinkett.
I think of all the people to make use of their team, Berry is probably the one who will make the most use of it.
Yes.
There's got to be a max score for value as well, hasn't it?
He's spent all his items well.
Hang on a minute.
The Eviolite.
A 40-point Morgrim straight off the bat is, when I've got a value.
How much is Eviolite's 40 points, right?
30
points.
10 points for the Morgrim.
How much is leftovers?
What do you mean?
If you were to buy leftovers, okay.
50. Sorry.
50. Okay.
I mean, he could. I think the air balloon's 10, so he had 40 points to play around with, and he had 20 from the flame orb.
If he had not put Eviolite on that, not put air balloon on that, and put like leftovers on maybe Gashadon, so that could be as fat as anything.
I mean, even if he wanted to flick it around a bit, put Sugarberry on Regieleki.
Yeah. Aegis Slash again.
I don't see the point of an air balloon on Regieleki anyway. It's not staying on ground types.
I know. And if you switch it into a ground type, what's it going to hit it with?
Yeah. But it's more along the lines of, I think, for coverage rather than anything else.
For anything else, yeah. It would have been good value, but the air balloon is really throwing me off. He's going to use all his mons. Again, Morgrim Eviolite. I can't. Do I think he's got...
I don't hate the Eviolite on it. I just think I wouldn't have bought it straight
I wouldn't have wasted those points on that early. The problem is, do I think it's better value than Tony's team? That's the question. I think it's... I'm not even one less. 17. If he didn't have the air balloon, I would have got... my voice cracked then. I need an air balloon to get my voice back.
You were pained by that.
I was pained by that air balloon. If he didn't have the air balloon, he would have got a 19, I reckon.
Oh dear. Let's move on to Aki, Eric.
Alright. So I'm torn.
I think we just give him 3 ones, don't we?
The thing is, I'm torn because someone who has spected the DPL before, I've seen this team used 900 times, but except this is not Gen 6, so he slapped a Zarude on it and called it Gen 8, which feels very uncreative. But then again, there is a Reuniclus on there, which kind of makes my balls tingle.
Oh, mate, you're tingle from Reuniclus, yeah.
For bias's sake, I'm going to have to give it a 4 based on creativity. Creativity is like mid when it comes to just draft Gen 6, put a Zarude on it, but there's a Reuniclus, so I have to give him 4.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think Keldeo is so much better now than it used to be as well. Certainly at the moment, especially in this format, where the high tier mons don't exist. He's given it a choice specs as well. That's not necessarily creative, but it is incredibly viable. I don't know if there's a single really team on here which is going to reliably switch into that. So, yeah. In terms of its viability, I think he's, it's a fantastic Aurus draft. I think Zarude is excellent as well. Let's give it a 13.
13. Value-wise, spent all his money, very heavy on items. I think the most heavy item team so far.
Tied with Simon.
Tied with Simon, yeah. Helmet on Skarmory is very basic. Mental Herbaldino intrigues me a bit.
I kind of like it.
I kind of get it because Ordino is very much wish support, aromatherapy, all that crap on it. So Mental Herb does, but I probably would have put I would say leftovers or something.
That's too expensive, really. If you're going to get any other items,
I would have put it on something else. Maybe Black Sludge. Black Sludge probably too expensive as well. Cool fish, but I probably would have saved the points. I maybe got an upgrade on Carbink, to be honest.
He needed to get 9 Pokemon, which he did, so he had to get carving.
Oh, he had to get carving. Okay, so he's gone for the minimum spend, minimum mons even, and he spent all his money.
He spent quite a little amount of money on his mons as well. Obviously, getting 50 points or 40 points for the choice specs, 20 for Chocolberry, 30 for Helmet, 10 for the Mental Herb, and 50 I think for Life Orb.
So he's banked most of his points on the Uniclus with Life Orb
and Keldeo choice
specs. So there is like 2, and obviously Skarmory. I think those 3 are going to come every week, and then it's just like, ooh, what else is going to come? So, with Smortney again, I'm going to give him an 8 for value.
Cool. Let's take an interval and look at a dig.
Okay.
Dicks.
Right.
Alright. In terms of his viability, double fighting. I love double fighting. They've both got momentum. One is more of a wall breaker, which I kind of love. Necrozma's excellent. Salamence is excellent. Mudsdale's excellent. Eldegoss is pointless.
True.
Comfy is kind of pointless. I kind of dislike that mon intently. But it is also kind of decent at times.
It can be decent.
But if you lose to a Comfy, you should just retire. So, it's just the way it is. Viability, 10.
Solid in the middle 10.
I don't know if I call 10 solid, but it's a thing.
It's average. 10 is average.
It's average, yeah.
Average.
Do you reckon you got much value out of it?
Much value out of this team. Well, minimum item spend, put him on both his fighting types.
He spent a lot of money on his items, though.
He
still spent 40 and 30 or 20
That's
on
a
the...
lot of points on his both his fight. To be fair, if he put it on both his fighting types though, so that very highly. I would have put 1 on them, and then put something on like Salamence or Necrozma or something.
I mean, with that money, you could have put a boots on Salamence.
Boots on Salamence. You could have put, I don't know, Copperaja. I like, kind of, but not really. Mudsdale's always a solid shout. Eldegoss, I don't know why it's there. He's got good special defense. He gets Leech Seed. That's about it.
It's a rapid spinner.
It's a rapid spinner.
That's about it.
That's about it. It's but I mean, that and
rate it.
Tentacruel. It's kind of. I'm gonna rate this dick a solid 9.
So for creativity, it's hard to be unbiased here because there are a lot of mons which I do appreciate.
You love, yeah.
I mean, Big Panda, very manly drafting, and especially putting an item on it right away. I do actually rate Tentacruel. I feel like Tentacruel is pretty fire in Gen 8. Like the Necrozma, Furnip, Salamence, they're reliable, nothing out of the ordinary. The Mud Donkey as well, pretty reliable. It's very, I think you kind of put it well when you said it's kind of mediocre or mid. There's nothing really spectacular going on there, but it's not bad. So I'm excited to see it. I'm going to go 11. I feel like that's a decent shout for Penis Man's team.
Yeah.
He's got an average penis. Right. We move on to Sean after saying average penises.
If you have average penises, you're happy with that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing to complain about.
20, he's got Bibarel. I've seen Sean's MVP'd with Bibarel. That's going to be biggest value, biggest viability, biggest creativity, best draft in the league.
Moving on.
Does anyone have anything to add to that, really?
No.
Oh, dear God. Yeah, so if Bibarel, obviously Moody's banned, correct?
Yeah.
So simple Bibarel can do a lot of damage, especially if he gets whipped up with his Vikavolt. That's a thing as well. Boots on Moltres. I understand it, but how expensive are boots?
60.
6. That's a lot of points. Well, you could have spread them around probably more and then got more points over the season, because with his barrel sweeps, he's going to get all the points on the planet. Deoxys, defensive, Colbert, interesting, but I do like the team. Value for money. The barrel's very cheap, and it's a monster, so I'm going to give him a solid 15.
So Sean drafted something in the business that we call the BB core.
The what?
And that stands for boring and Bibarel. it results in 7 points for creativity. Like overall, the team like Weevil, Deoxys, Tabafini, Alplu, Moltres, like not that spectacular, but there's a Bieber on the team which just lifts it up from having like a 2-point score or something. So nice 7 points for Sean.
So you've gone from talking about dicks to beavers.
Yeah. And now we're going to talk about Nico.
Oh, here we go.
Back to dicks again. The biggest ones. Oh, sorry, the biggest balls, actually. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, creativity. Let's talk about the creativity.
Yeah, so Nico was on crack when he drafted, or I think Nico has been. I think Nico smoked crack in like early 2015, and then joined draft in 2017, and he just is still lingering from that first time.
I think it's just still going.
This draft is fucking mental. I don't know what he was thinking.
I love it.
But I love it.
I really
there's
love
so many mons which just speaks to me.
Marowak as well. The Thick Club is a free item, so Marowak does have it.
Oh. Hell yeah. And then we have the Beheon, base Beheon with a light clay. Wonder what he's going to do with that. There's a Kecleon, there's a big Snorlax Aromatisse core, some Trick Room action with some Ultra Beast. I'm going to give it a 19.
19. The problem
that team is so
barring
slow.
Nehelago and Kartana, his team is slow as fuck.
Yeah, the team is bullshit when it comes to viability, but creativity-wise, it's very hard.
You say that. I mean, he's got two really good Trick Room setters in Slowbro and Kecleon. They both have reasonable offensive capability. He's got Teleport in the Slowbro. He's got Snorlax, which we all know is literally the GOAT.
Yes.
He's got Hazard support from Sandslash, although I think it's kind of pathetic. I love Kartana and Nihiliga. I think they're both excellent. Viability, I think we do have to take into account that he hasn't got speed at all, ever. And if he gets taunted, he's going to be very sad. That said, he's probably going to have a choice band on Kecleon. He's going to catch that taunt and then destroy them with a banded Hyper Beam or whatever.
Banded Hyper Beam.
Yeah. that's what Nico would do. That's what he would do. Viability, I don't think I can do any more than 11.
Value. Right. Airballoon Nihiligo, I get. Because Earthquakes, he's not very got many, barring... What's his grass? Kartana's not exactly... Barring Mandibuzz, what's he got? Is immune to Earthquake.
Doesn't need anything, he's got a Slowbro.
He's got a Slowbro, which will eat up for days. Snorlax, eats something up to days. Sandslash, again, hazards-wise... I'm not a fan of Sandslash. I don't know how good it is.
Honestly, with the Nihiligo, I'd have preferred to get it a Power Herb or a Life Orb.
Yeah. Just make it hit things harder because Kartana Nihiligo are probably his best, like, end game, super fast boy, so he's going to kill things. Probably double Beast Boost as well. Value-wise, I like his bulk, but it's just bulk plus Kartana. So I would have probably spent my points more differently. I'm going to give him a 12.
Dreadful Dragonite. What do we have to say about Dread?
Interesting team.
I kind of hate it.
I can't... The thing is, I'm looking at it.
I think Hydreigon is excellent, but I also kind of hate basically everything else.
I like Hydreigon. Amoonguss Slowking Core is very interesting. Registeel is kind of... Sometimes it does... It's like one of those 50-50 mons for me. Machamp, again, don't really... Slurpuff does have web support, but it's not really useful. Gliscor, bulky. Typhlosion doesn't... Probably not going to see it brought a lot. Frostlass, again, probably not going to be brought a lot. And Raichu.
I mean, Frostlass is a good spike.
Frostlass is a good spike hazard, but I don't really like the value of this team. In all honesty, I can't see like standout like star player on this team.
I mean, Hydreigon is probably going to have to be it.
It's going to have to be Hydreigon, which isn't really what you want. Hydreigon is like you're like your super sub kind of thing. Not you like, oh my god, because like Nico's got like Kartana, Sean's got like Bibarel and stuff like that. So he needs... I would have probably gone one mon less for his team and got like a top tier instead of like Machamp or something. So I'm going to give him a 11. Because I just feel it's too.
I'm going to give him an 8 for viability. I just don't vibe with it.
I'll give him a. I reckon a 6 when it comes to creativity. I feel like there's a lot of mons which can do some lifting for this team creative wise, but still, like Gliscor, Amoonguss, Slowking, Registeel, Hydra. There's so many mons which just will be brought every week, barring injuries. So the Machamps and the Typhlosions and all of those mons, I don't think they'll see it. Actually, it's just the Machamp and the Typhlosion and the Frostlash, which I really rate about this team. So yeah, 6 is valid for me.
Nice.
Moving on. Where are we on the document? We are over at Sandy Man.
Sandy Andy.
Yeah, Sandy Man. Very weird looking team, so I rate that. Multiple typing overlaps when it comes to the drafted Pokemon, but I kind of fuck with it, honestly. I kind of like the idea to have Meloetta in like Psychic Terrain. I do like to have like the Escavalier Stack Attack, a Trick Room Core, the double water Poliwrath Quagsire. Such a weird looking team, but I've never seen it before. So by that logic, I'm gonna give it a 12.
12.
Yes, sir. 12.
12.
That's really interesting.
Go on.
Because I actually like his team as well. I think Hawlucha in the early game in this season is going to be devastating. I think there's not a lot of good counterplay to it, especially when things don't have items. I think people have to rely on things like Raw, Whirlwind, Burning It, Thunderwave. Status support really, which isn't necessarily a particularly reliable way of checking Hawlucha. I think Manectric was a wasted pick. I really hate it. It's a pointless Pokemon. Other than that, I like the rest of the mons on his team. I think overall, it's fairly solid. I think the Stack Attacker is awesome. I think his viability is going to be a good 16.
16 viability. Right. Value-wise, he has banked all his mons on Tapu Lele Hawlucha core, which is probably going to be every week. Probably. I don't get why he's blocked Manectric and Rotom Heat's there.
I'll be honest with you as well, with the Hawlucha as well, it's going to get a lot of kills in early season, so if it snags any injuries, it's going to build up items, and when it's got a range of items, it's going to be really problematic.
It's going to be very problematic indeed. Meloetta, I do like the Quagsire, I do like the Poliwrath. Gesundheit. Stack Attacker, when I used it, but this was like a couple of gens ago, didn't really like it. Golbat is a very anti-mon. Very anti-mon. I
agree.
There's a few mons which I think could have been spent more wisely, like the Manectric, probably the Stacker, and I think because of that logic in my brain, I'm going to give Sandy Andy a... I'm going to go with 12. I'm going to have 12.
Okay, moving on to Boots, and I love his team. I really do. I think Espeon's outstanding, Cabalion's great. I think Charizard is really underrated. Motom is fantastic. Stoutland I've used before. I have to say, I think this generation, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as good as it used to be. I think he might have done better with a Sandslash. But I'm not going to worry about that because he has Nidoqueen, which is brutal. Dracovish with Sand and a Scarf. It's got plenty of options.
Yeah.
Trouble Titar's good.
Jellicent.
And Jellicent's excellent as well. He's spent all his budget, and I think he spent it really wisely. I think this is probably one of my favourite teams in the thing, and I'm going to give it an 18.
It's your favourite team, but
one of my favourite teams.
You can say your favourite and you give Sean 20, just because of barrel.
Yeah.
As you do. Value-wise, I do like his team. He's spent well on his mons. Items, I do agree with. Chople, Tyranitar, so it doesn't get that quad weak. Chople is fighting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chople, Tyranitar, so it's the fighting punchy things won't attack it that well. Scarf Dracovish in Sand is just going to kill things with Vicious Rend for days. And Colberberry Jellicent probably is a good staple before it can get like a better item on your Jellicent. Does Stoutland boost as well with Sand Rush? It's going to be quite interesting.
I mean, it definitely
to play.
can do stuff. But I think it did a lot better when it had access to Z moves,
and stuff. Yeah. Cabana does get a boost as well because Steel types get boosted as well, don't they? Or is it just Rock?
No, it's just Rock.
It's just Rock, yeah. So Charizard I like, but without boots, it's going to be very interesting to see what he does with that. I like a Motom, I do. I do like this team. I'm going to give it a 16, I think. For boots.
Cool.
I like the idea of Boots drafting what he's comfortable with, because that's usually how Boots plays. I've seen Boots use Jellicent, I've seen him use Nidoqueen, Cobalion for the last 5 years, and I always really appreciate him playing with it because he plays with it really well. But this time he decided to spice it up a little bit, which I really do fuck with. I am very excited to see Boots use Dracovish. I always love him using Espeon because he uses it in very creative ways. And the Stoutland is actually kind of what my eye got caught by. So I'm going to give Boots a 14 in creativity. Mainly because I see Boots draft the same shit over and over. And now when he spiced it up, I get, it gets me tingling. So,
it had a really, really
just
good
the Boots.
early season as well. Because again, not everyone's going to have those... Pasho berries and so on to deal with Dracovish particularly. And as the schedule is revealed slowly throughout the season, week on week, people aren't going to know if they're going to even play it or not. So it's going to be harder to have direct counters to it as well. So I think it's got the early game, and he's got one of Dracovish's really good checks in Jellicent anyway. So I think it's got. I really like it. I really do. I think it's excellent. Talking of excellent, we have Persian Alola. Oh, what a great mon. It's just, unbeatable really, isn't it? Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
That's all you got to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Not going to talk about the Heatran or the Araquanid or... No.
Who needs to talk about that one? There's the cat.
There's also another weird cat in Indeedee.
Is that a cat?
Well, what is it if it's not a cat?
I hate it as a cat. Okay, he's lost points now because that's a cat. Indeed, he's such a stupid looking cat if it is.
He's got a cat and a rat. He'll write you.
His points are going down and down the more you speak.
He's got a balloon.
He started off at 18 and now he's at 12.
He's got 2 bugs. He's got...
although he does have Diancie, and Diancie is pretty fire.
Diancie is pretty fire.
Alright, he's gone back up to 13.
How much is it make a Diancie like?
It's quite expensive.
Okay. You get a 13?
Yeah, he's going to get 30. Jake, it's your fault. He would have had, much more than that.
Well, item-wise, he's only got a Life Orb Nidoking. Life Orb Nidoking is a monster, but... Again... I mean,
he does have 20 leftover points.
He's got 20 leftover points.
In particular with his team, with the likes of Como and Heatran, particularly, they like their berries.
They do like their berries.
He can play around with those once he knows the matchup. He's given him a little bit of space. He doesn't need a lot of space for those berries. They'd be either 10 or 20 points.
Yeah.
So he can get those with petty cash. So I actually quite like the fact he didn't max out his budget.
He did max out his points. He's got... I think his speed-wise, other than the Alolan boys, it's not that fast, is it?
No.
No.
He does have
He does have webs in Araquanid. Lurantis is one of those mons which...
It's a Berry and Ben sort of mon.
It is.
I feel like Berry and Ben would get
the most out of it.
More out of it than they should do.
Because you never really see Lurantis ever in most things.
No.
Not even in playthroughs of Pokemon. It's just one of those.
It's a filler.
It's a filler Pokemon. I don't think it's got very decent move coverage.
It's decent. I mean, it gets close combat.
It gets close combat stuff.
Leaf Storm and stuff.
Doesn't
like
it
that.
get?
It's not great.
Doesn't it get contrary?
Yeah, it gets contrary.
But the problem is, it's too fucking slow for it.
I mean, it's got Trick Room support in Diancie
as well.
Not great, but it does have it.
He's got options, and indeed he gets it as well.
Does it?
Yeah, it also gets Psychic Terrain.
I don't get Psychic Terrain. I didn't know it got Trick Room.
I think it gets Trick Room. Most Psychic types do, so I imagine it does. But again, like Dreads, I don't see the standout mon other than Nidoking. In all honesty, so I'm going to give him a What I give Nico? Or Dread? I give him 11. I'll give him a blue 11 as well. There we go.
And last but not least, creativity. Now, people will say that I'm simping for Pluto, which I might be doing, but I do love this team when it comes to creativity, because there are some, compared to other teams that has really good centerpieces, I feel like the small little creative bits on the edge of this team really makes this team what it is, and I feel like that's what I love about it. Like Laurentis, base pick, love Laurentis. Diancie Araquanid, high value, and both really amazing mons. But the little synergy he managed to get going with his terrain at the end is fucking absurd. Love the fact that he has Indeedee plus Unburdened Driftblim, and that's something you never see. And he has Raichu Alola in the terrain, which you don't usually see Raichu Alola in. Based, I'm going to give it a 19.
Oh.
I mean, it is very creative.
It's very creative.
There are lots of little pieces. I think it's going to be quite difficult for him to work it all together, but he does have some good pivot options. I think if he gets
absolutely love Pluto's team.
Love it.
Yes.
And lastly, we have Johnnia.
Slimier.
Slimier, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot he was. I keep calling him Johnnia for some reason.
I don't know why.
Probably such a John.
The American.
Before I go on a rant about
go on a rant. No,
the problem is, right, I can't give him value because it's a Flygon on the team.
Okay, I'm going to go grab some water while Jake is ranting.
Flygon is utter wank.
It is utter wank. It's a waste of money.
It used to be good.
There are so many better Dragon types he could have picked up. It's weird. What? Also, I appreciate the Hippo, but what's the Hippo?
It's there to provide sand for Dracozolt, to be fair.
What does Dracozolt get? It gets
Sand Rush.
Rush. Okay. So.
I can understand that. That's not a bit. I'm more concerned about the fact that he has Obstagoon and Bisharp.
He's got Obstagoon and Bisharp, which is very strange. He's gone all out on Gengar again.
To be fair, Gengar is excellent.
Gengar is excellent, but is he going to do the same frickin' thing he did in...
No, he doesn't have any toxic spikes.
No, I mean, is he going to waste all his money in one game and get a Mega Gengar and say, I'm going to win 1 week, and then that's it?
No, I don't think he is.
No?
I think he's going to learn from his stupidity.
He's not going to learn.
Maybe I'm optimistic.
You're very optimistic. He's not going to learn from that stupidity. I want to give him a 0 for Flygon and Bisharp and everything, but I love the Hippo so much. And
I think the Hippo does give him a lot of value out of Dracozolt, but I think he wasted loads of money on an Eviolite, which he didn't need.
Do we need it? Salac does what?
A plus speed.
Plus speed on a fucking Togekiss, which is so weird.
It's so weird because
it gets agility.
He could just
and
tailwinds, and all he wants to do is flinch things to death. That's all he wants to do with that Togekiss. I'm gonna, for value for money, he's wasted money. He's going to give him a 5.
Oh wow, that's high.
He got 5 points for the Hippo.
Interesting. Why he wasted money on Hippo? Eviolite wasn't necessary.
No, wrong button. 2.
2, okay.
2 points.
I have to say as well, I think Shaman in the current meta is not very good. It was really quite expensive here for what it is. I forgot to move it down. I think Seed Flare is a cut move. See, it doesn't get hidden power. Yeah, and it gets earth power, which is good.
That's about it.
But that's about where it stops. It gets air slash, but it's not particularly strong. It's not particularly fat. It doesn't get momentum. Yeah, it struggles.
And if Gengar moves down,
Gengar is excellent. I think it's really, really good in this format as well.
If Gengar gets injured, I think he's a bit screwed as well.
Delphox is a nice pick. I kind of like it. I don't get the I think Flygon isn't very good at the moment. Obstagoon is really good, but it is an odd pick because he took it right after he took Bisharp.
Double Dark, interesting.
Yeah. Overall viability, it could do really well, but I think it's much more likely it's going to flop in lots of ways. So I'm going to give it a 7.
I feel like the team is very strange, and and if you want to interpret strange as creative, I feel like the team's really good. But then again, like there are some pieces which I do kind of appreciate. Like I do appreciate people picking up Bishop, for example, because you don't see a lot of Bishop. I do think that Delphox is it's like a fantastic pickup when it comes to creativity because I feel like it's really good, but people don't give it a shot. So I do rate that.
Very cheap.
But Shaman, not sold. Gengar, uninspiring. Very good, but uninspiring. Fucking hate Dracozolt because the Mon is a piece of shit. So I am gonna land on a 8 points in creativity just because it's strange, but it's not the strange creative way which I kind of want from a team, like Bluedos, for example.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think it had a lot of potential to start with because he started off, I think, with Togekiss and Gengar, which is a really strong start, and he could have gone a lot of ways with it, but he's ended up in a really weird place that I don't really like. So we'll have to see what happens. I also think there's an awful lot of building you can do with it as well. Like lots of these mons are quite one-dimensional. He doesn't have outstanding defense. He doesn't have outstanding offense. He's got kind of a lot of in the middle mons, which doesn't help his cause. So should we go over the final scores?
Final scores. Are we going to go worst to first or first to worst?
Okay, so let's start from the bottom.
So the last place, 16th place, the worst team in the league, Simia with 17 points out of 60.
Shout-outs to Flygon.
That's a miserable
That's
score.
a miserable score. Simia, up your game. Coming 15th is Smartney with 22 points. Not much better, but
yeah. Smartney, I think he's going to make his team work. He's a good battler, but we'll have to see.
To see how it goes. Then we've got
it's a new format for most of these people, we'll see how it goes.
And then joint 13th place, we've got Aki and Dread.
I think Aki's team is a lot more viable than Dread's, but with a little bit more creativity coming in on Dread's part, it's kind of brought it up
A little bit, yeah. Then joint 11th, we've got Isaac Dix. With 30 out of 60. Both in the middle of the road. Both average suck dicks.
Oh,
50%.
no.
So,
the title of this video is suddenly Isaac Dicks.
An average Isaac Dix. 50%. So yeah, both got the same survivability from Ben, but Isaac had more value and Dix has more creativity. So move on to Benjamin with 38 points in 9th place, I believe.
Third, fourth,
Fifth, 6, 7, 8.
Eight.
Yeah, 9th.
Yeah.
9th place for Benjamin, 38 points. Moving up table, we now have joint 7th with Sandy Tony in joint 7th place with 40 points.
Yeah, Tony got a lot more value out of his team than Andy did, but we reckon that
Sandy's
there's a bit more viability in Sandy's. So,
and then we have very close joint 5th place. We've got Rob, Sean, and Nico. I think them three in the same group is a very good.
That's not much of a surprise, to be honest.
That's not a
We've
surprise.
got one that stands out in value being Sean's, one that stands out in creativity
which is
being
Nico's.
And then Sean and Rob sort of standing out in viability. So
yeah.
And as Sean and Rob play each other week 1, that's going to be a spicy
interesting game. I mean, just missing out on the medal positions is Pluto with 43 points.
Simple or not, that's a good score.
That's simple or not. And then we move on to 3rd place with 48 out of 60. We've got Boots, who has good scores in everything. Little bit down on creativity, but
I love his team. I really do.
And then joint first, we have Simon and Berry.
Fun fact, wasn't it Simon that lost to Berry in Owl because of Berry's creativity?
I believe it was. I can't remember. Oh no, it was Vepsis. Vepsis lost to
Frostmoth.
The Frostmoth, yeah.
Yeah. So
I thought that was really appropriate for a second, and then it just
So if Simon ever plays Berry this season, I'm interested to see that game. 100%.
But yeah, that's Power Rankings. We got the scrubs at the bottom, nerds at the top. Good job.
Yeah, good job,
Yeah.
nerds.
And
You're all scrubs.
ta-ra for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.